let's take a little stroll.
One thing I can say, during Carnival, the village was like a family. When I tell you like a family, majority of the boot holders there had knew each other, and a lot of them make sure that we as kids make sure live, and stick to the rules and regulation that your parents have taught you.
The village typified itself as a meeting spot. That's where you go. That's where I go and see if I see road in the village. And when I find road in the village, it's where you're drinking, and when mine finish, boom, and you're buying drinks. At the end of the night, you end up spending $155 in buying drinks for people. It was camaraderie, it was getting together.
Some people you literally only see once a year, carnival time.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. But it's like a family. It's a family in there. Even with the other boot holders, we're family. Everybody is in tune with everybody. Everybody's eating. Everybody's specialty. Yeah, it's a family.
Here we go. The idea of the village originated actually from St. Thomas. In 1970, Jocelyn Arnell recounts, Lexi Arnell and himself were sent to St. Thomas by the island government to observe how Carnival was organized over there with a view to put in their experience proper use with benefit of festival of St. Maarten. St. Thomas, with a longer tradition in Carnival, had a carnival village. To you, it's important that you know that Aruba, Curacao, Statia, I think, has a village. Saba has a village. Trinidad, I don't think, has a village. But the village concept is unique to St. Thomas and St. Maarten. When you look at even the period of 1970, when the village and the stakeholders called boot holders were at the location of the Sundial School, where the Sundial School was, and then eventually moved to the location that the current village was. There's a huge difference in how the boot holders were organized. So it's very difficult to get a group of boot holders. In those days, there were 40 to 50 boot holders to self-organize. It doesn't happen. So we, in '84, took charge and established the rules, and everybody was absolutely happy that we did that,
As far as the village is concerned, there were boot holders going back to the good old days. You had a lot of boot holders who were repeat boot holders. They would be coming here every single year. You know their number, you know their decor, because they would take some of that same old wood from the last time with the same paint, and they set back up that boot. Some of them were so diligent. They would set back up that same boot. So you know where they are. You know all the boot holders. It was a family thing.
Celeste, the general, as I call him, Celeste Beaupertuis, commenced a system of passes. Everyone needed a pass. A boot holder specifically needed a pass with a photograph. He commenced that. He started the boot holders contract. You can imagine 100 boots with 100 different carpenters, and sometimes a carpenter might be building 2 or 3 different boots at the same time. You can imagine how all the different boots look, one sticking out more than the next. So that's what we call law and order. In other words, everyone had to be lined up. The steps had to be the same distance coming out. There had to be a lot of uniformity. In the contract, you would notice the size of the back window had to be a specific size, louvered. Why? A lot of the boot holders, a good number of the boot holders, allowed, after 7, 8 in the evening, people to come in the village through the window.
I remember when we used to also sneak into the village, right, via jumping through the back of those boot stadiums that had windows, and we used to jump through the back of those windows. And, and then when they're doing the inspection, they will come around, and we will hide between the soda cans that they have there. We will hide between there, so when they come and do the inspection, they don't see us. So when the inspection done, we sneak out and we go on the village and we enjoy ourselves.
We had a rule, for example, that at 6:30 p.m., we do Operation Clean Sweep, which was basically go around the village, go in every booth. Where's your pass? Where's your pass? Where's your pass? You don't have any pass, you have to leave. You don't want to leave, you have to pay for the show that's going to start at 8 p.m. And Celeste was the kind of general that would go in the booth, go in the back room, because most booths would have a partition, and he would go in the back room and he would look under the bed. And he would find people under the bed that basically were trying to stay in the village and not pay. So if I look at that period from 84, 85, coming forward, the organization of the booth holders as stakeholders in Carnival, very important stakeholders in Carnival, became very regulated and organized.
My name is Celeste Beaubertui, and I was part of the original task force 1984. You signed the Carnival of 1984. It was called the task force. We had, why I think it was a success, we had members for each thing. You had a member of our committee that was for the bands on the road, for the bands that was up on stage. So everybody had their part to do. My part was the rough part, my part was the boots. And people, especially when they build the disagreeable in the hot sun, boy, they just tell you where you're born. But otherwise, that was a smart thing that happened. I really don't know who was the one that did it, but divided the whole system. Everybody had their task to handle. My task really was the boots. And you had to read there. First of all, you had to go out and measure the boots on the ground with a little steel pen. You get a piece of the pen by the contractors and so. And you go out and you measure the boots and you make the pen, and you take a pan of spray paint and you spray that pan on the ground, boot number so and so. So everybody had their boot mark out. So you got to build according to that. Now you had to need the height and the depth of the boot. Otherwise, if you give them a chance, they'll be in the Carnival village, but the back part of the boot will be in the pond. All the boots were about the same size. I tried my best to get it as best as possible, but it was good.
The village keeper, who was in charge of all the construction, was Celeste Beaubertui. Been on the Carnival village forever, and the Carnival committees forever, but you had to follow his instructions. So he had a stick, and the height of the stick was the height of the boot. So when you start to build your boot, he would bring his stick, and he would bring it to the top, and he comes to measure. If you're, let's say it had to be 12 feet. If you are above 12 feet, or below 12 feet, it's no good. It had to be redone. So all measurements had to be 12 feet. Therefore, the entire village was looking 12 feet high. And then he would have the cross measure, and you had to be the 6 feet wide, or whatever the width was of the boot at the time. So those days used to be fun days, because Celeste, everybody know when Celeste is coming, you had better be measured up properly.
You know, us people, while we building, we drinking. Oh yes. So we're glad to have the boot building that we can go there and hit a couple drinks. The camaraderie was better.
I have been partaking in Carnival as a boot holder for many years alongside my mother. Unfortunately, with her passing, I then started to carry on the baton on my own. My earliest memory would be at the age of 4. I can remember going, so it was in the beginning just my aunt as a boot holder. I can remember us sleeping in the back of the boot on a mattress. They would either put the bare boxes together, lay the mattress out when it was time for us to go to sleep. After a few years of just being with my aunt and the boot, my mom eventually took part as well as a boot holder. So it was in between the two. At my mom's boot, she also had a single bed, the close-up bed, where when you're tired, if you're busy running around in the village, they used to tell us, listen, make sure you pass back by the boot for me to see, you know. And when it's time to go to sleep, you go to the boot, you sleep in the back of the boot until whoever is ready to close up, and then we head home for school in the morning.
Children were sleeping in the village. Anybody who are grown up today could remember when they would be falling asleep in the boot. If there's any of the children, nieces, nephews, anything going on in the village, and somebody get tired and the children have to deal, go sleep in the boot. Boots, beds, I mean, they had beds couldn't done in these things because most of the cooking was outside. When we changed the boots, where you had to do all the cooking inside with the concrete and the electrical and the plumbing and stuff like that, that wasn't there before. You could have put a bed in the back there and still had space to do a few other things.
When I found this list, I knew I had it, right? Because I told you. And I went down these names. I mean, like for example, the first one, he had the first booth as you enter the carnival village. Leroy Baptiste. Number 2 and 3 was Sonny Calla. Sonny Calla, they had 2 booths, and they had a restaurant called, they used to, the first people in St. Maarten to sell rotis from Trinidad. Enoch Hodge from Marigot, wife, worked for them for a number of years. And I go down the list and I see other names, and I go like Joseph Peters, and I remember Sidonie Gibbs, Marjorie Beaupertuis, and one of the people that I spoke to someone the other day that was amazing, booth number 25 was Eddie Williams. So there were 2 Eddie Williams. There was the Eddie Williams of 99.9 FM, and there was the Eddie Williams who used to be married to Fina Sprott from down street. And Eddie Williams lived here in Saunders. Eddie Williams' booth was very, very well visited because of his exquisite satays. His satays were well known. But when I look at the list, I really got nostalgic.
Well, how it came about, so we were doing satays, satays. And Sparkle Cecile, he was every night at our booth. And there was one night I came up with our satay. He was purchasing a satay. I came with a satay, and he goes, boy, this satay bad, boy, it bad. And that's how it came about. Actually, because of him, I came up with the name Bad Boy Satay, because of his comment. He was like, boy, this satay bad, boy, it bad. And there's the Bad Boy Satays.
As boot holders, I think we keep the St. Maarten culture alive because recently, Shirley and I spoke about it, that the real St. Maarten thing with grills, chicken leg, and Johnny cake, it is limited right now in the village.
That's the first thing when people walk in, they're looking for a grill.
Yeah.
Like even like we had like this week tourists, I said, but how come you guys end up at our booth? Because they were like, you were the only one that had on a grill. They literally walked, because you know how much booths you need to pass to us before you get to us? We're like literally in the corner at the end. And they were like, you know, you were the only one that had a grill on. So like Lisa said, we were talking, there was one night we were sitting down and we were looking around the village, and there were like a handful of booths that had on a grill. Like, you know, so we were like, it's no longer the smoke hanging in the grill like before. So I think that we by having our sautés, we still like, you know, we try to continue the culture of, you know, the barbecue part. Yeah.
But this list is 40 years of history. We had exactly 100 booths. Celeste used this booth to mark off who signed the contract, did they pay the deposit, do they have a fire extinguisher? And you would see that there are not too many marks behind the fire extinguisher. So this type of organization was important. The other thing that we had that I think is important to mention is we had established in 84 and 85 prizes for the best built booths. And that gave a encouragement in doing something with pride, that it would look, you know, good.
The vision I had, I've been to Carnival before Festival Village, so I know the old days of Carnival. And I remember going to different booths and everyone having different colors, different designs. And that's what I wanted to bring back. But I wanted to bring it back more popping, more livelihood, you know, and I wanted to bring that vibe back, but in a more structured way.
My name is Mary, but most of the people know me as Mai. And I've been doing Carnival for over 38 years, and I love it very much. And I'll be continue doing it until I have the strength, because everybody loves me and what I'm delivering to them. Yes, everybody know me from my chicken and my spare ribs and the Johnny cake and the soup. The sauce, Bigfoot sauce, everybody know me. Yes, like you see all these people sitting out there, they're already warning me. Don't give them no hard time, they don't want to take no line. My line does be right there till the stage sometimes. Yeah, so they don't want to take no line. I have to know that they are there. When they come, just deliver to them. I have a group from Aruba, like I say, from Carnival start, they sit here and the Carnival finish. I have a group from the States, same thing.
The concept of booth holding, I mean, the days of just going into a village and just eating a chicken leg and Johnny cake is completely over. It's brand new. It's now you gotta look at what new drinks are out there, the new creative meals. I mean, I'm in the village watching Concert X, supporting my boy King James, and I'm seeing these big bowls with fries coming, like the presentation is out of the box. I mean, and I'm a foodie. I love food. I'm not going to be dabbling into the kind of drinks that they're serving, that kind of drink, but the fact that you're just coming in to like engage and just, you want to go booth hopping, it's fun.
Why do I do this? For the love of food. I am like the fat kid that loves food. If anybody know me, they know I just like to eat. So this is why I do it. This is why I do the long hours, the whole prep and everything. Everything is done fresh every single day. I travel for food. So I would go places and see stuff and try and piggyback off of it. So like for instance, the Ronin is homemade macaroni and cheese with 7 different cheeses in it. And it's stuffed with protein of choice, which is chicken or shrimp, or we could do ground beef, whatever craziness I decide to come with. That's how we started with that. And that one took about 2 months to develop with getting the right blend of cheese. I'm very thankful for Super Kid and Big Homie Spoon, because they were my lab rats for those 2 months. Seriously, the favorite part of being a booth holder is the people come and say, yo, that food was good. That's my favorite part of it.
When you walked in that village, whether it was for lunch or it was for dinner, it was the principal meeting point, you know. If you didn't find somebody in the village in the evening, something wrong with them. They got a flu, they got a headache or something, you know. They had to be in the village because it was affordable. It was $5, $3 to get in, so it was the place to hang out.
Our booth vending has come a long way, and we want to continue that tradition. And I hope that that's the tradition we keep moving forward every year for Carnival coming along. Something new, something inventive. What are we looking forward for this year? It's like opening a Christmas gift. You can't wait to see what's coming up for Carnival in vending. And that, to me, is the essence of booth vending.